Hare Krishna. So, in chapter number 7, Krishna started speaking about knowledge of Absolute. And towards the end, when Krishna used some technical terms like Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna, and so on, Arjuna, he asked a question to Krishna that please explain me these technical terms. And then Krishna spoke about that in full chapter number 8, which is titled as Attaining the Supreme. And now again, Krishna resumes his discussion or his speech, which was there in chapter number 7, and he continues that in chapter number 9. So virtually speaking, chapter number 7 and 9, they are almost the same. So just there was a tangent in between when it comes to chapter number 8. Now, in chapter number 8, Attaining the Supreme, Krishna said that a devotee surpasses the path of light and darkness. So now when we hear this, so everyone will get that desire that can I also become a devotee like that? And in this particular chapter, which we're going to start, chapter number 9, titled The Most Confidential Knowledge, Krishna is going to speak about how to become such a devotee. And also, Krishna spoke that how bhakti is the best yoga. And in this particular chapter, chapter number 9, he gives a specific knowledge required for performing the most confidential yoga, that is bhakti yoga. So let's begin. Let's begin chapter number 9, text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam tu te guyyatamam Pravakshamyanusuyave Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yajñatva moksha sekshubhat. So here Krishna is saying, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, Lord Krishna is speaking, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is saying that Anusuyave, this word Anusuyave is used, which is very important, where he is addressing to Arjuna. O Arjuna, because you are non-envious of me, idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami. Since you are non-envious of me, I shall impart you the most confidential knowledge, guhyatamam. And jnana vijnana sahitam, not just confidential knowledge, along with that, I'll also give you realizations of myself. And yajñatva mokshase ashubhat. And by knowing this, you'll be relieved from ashubhat, the miseries of this material existence. So here Krishna is saying that I'm going to give you the most confidential knowledge, Guhyatamam. Can we imagine? He's saying the most confidential knowledge, but Krishna is so merciful, he has made it public. If it is properly understood, we will get that most confidential knowledge which was given to Arjuna, and we'll be able to advance in spiritual life. So let's see some details from this particular verse. As a devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This is exactly the solution to come out of ignorance. We have to hear more and more about the Supreme Lord from Srimad Bhagavatam. We should hear more and more from Supreme Lord, that is from Bhagavad-gita. Very nicely in Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Grenantiye Bhurida Janah. So here the great devotees from Vrindavan, they are saying that Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam. Your Katha, your talk is for all those people who are Tapta Jivanam, who are miserable, who are suffering in this material world. And who is not suffering in this material world? Everyone is suffering in this material world. Some know about it and some don't know about it. So what is the solution? Katha of Krishna and Katha by Krishna. Katha of Krishna is Srimad Bhagavatam and Katha by Krishna is Bhagavad-gita. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna in the association of devotees. So anyone who is constantly engaged in service of the Lord, that person will have the luxury to get instructions directly from Krishna. Krishna will inspire that person from within what next to do. And he will give the right intelligence to do the next activity in such a way that that particular thing will take him back home, back to Godhead. But here the condition is the person should be fully engaged in devotional service. Discussion of Krishna is very potent. And if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement towards spiritual realization. So again, it's very important to know that association of devotees is very, very important. So when we have association of devotees and when we are having discussion of Krishna, the topic of Krishna, what happens? That particular discussion itself is very, very potent because we are discussing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So such people are called as very, very fortunate who have such luxury to come together and discuss about Krishna. Now, why is it called as Guhya Tamam? Why is it called as the most confidential? Let's try to understand. So now in second and third chapter, the spiritual knowledge was described. Like we are not the body, we are spirit, soul, and some other important aspects were described. So that is actually confidential knowledge. Now in chapter number 7 and 8, specifically, things were spoken about, some things related to devotional service. That is knowledge of absolute and attaining the supreme. And because they bring enlightenment in Krishna consciousness, they are called as more confidential. Now, in 9th chapter, so by the way, that is confidential, Guhya, that is 2nd chapter and 3rd chapter. 7th and 8th chapter are considered to be Guhya Tara, that is more confidential. And now in 9th chapter, Krishna is going to exclusively speak about unalloyed devotional service. And that is Guhya Tamam. Guhya, Guhya Tara, Guhya Tamam. That is most confidential knowledge. One who is situated in the most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. So a person who is practicing devotional service and marching towards attaining pure devotion to Krishna, attaining Krishna, going back home, back to Godhead, such a person is in this world, but he is not of this world. I repeat, such a person is in this world because he has a material body, so he is in this world, but he is not of this world because all the time he is in a different state, in a transcendental state. So it's very nicely said that such a person has no material pangs because he's not there at all in this world. He does not identify himself with this world because all the time he is in the transcendental state of existence, serving Lord Sri Krishna. This is actually the solution because problems of life will not go. But then if we can elevate our consciousness above this material platform, automatically what will happen? Automatically we will be away, we will be aloof from the material miseries of this world. Material miseries will be there, but it will not touch us. And then it is said here, the words idam, jnanam refers to pure devotional service which consists of 9 different activities. So Krishna is going to give this jnana. So what are the 9 different activities? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. So basically here Krishna is giving the 9 limbs of bhakti. So this is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto. So these are the different angas of bhakti, and here it is said that by practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When one's heart is thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the signs of Krishna. So when we are practicing devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Shravanam is hearing and Kirtanam is chanting. So when we are immersed in chanting and hearing about Krishna, remembering Krishna and doing various other services to Lord Sri Krishna, what happens? Our heart, which is fully contaminated, gets cleansed very nicely. And when the heart becomes pure, then we'll be in a state to grasp the knowledge about Krishna. So does that mean that we'll read Bhagavad-gita only after becoming pure? To become pure, we are reading Bhagavad-gita. And when we become pure, Then Bhagavad Gita, when we read Bhagavad Gita again, that will be at a next level of understanding and realizations. Finally, it is said here that no one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So this quality, what is Krishna saying here? Why is he speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? Because he is anasuyave, he is non-envious. Whatever Krishna is going to speak about himself, Arjuna will not say that, hey, you look to be such a person who is just blowing your own trumpet. So this is not proper. You're just boosting yourself. So Arjuna is never going to say this. Because Arjuna knows that Krishna is going to speak about himself for the benefit of everyone. And he's not envious. But there are many, many people in this world who are envious of Krishna, saying why only Krishna has to be supreme. To accept Krishna's supremacy is very, very difficult for so many people in this world. So here it is said that people who are non-envious, they can actually understand this knowledge, the most confidential knowledge that Krishna is going to give. So let's see what Krishna is speaking in next few shlokas. He's actually emphasizing on the knowledge that he's going to give. So let's see the details in the next video. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.